Hey there, this is Vinny with Vonk Digital. Wanted to go over website page speed and how you can test your site, what to look for in the reports, and how to improve it if you need to. And this can be, you don't have to have a Vonk Digital website for this video to help you. This can be for any website. First thing to check is, if you're looking at your website on a desktop and it seems to be loading slow, always check your internet speed too. That's one that I think people overlook. If you have, bad internet, or slow internet speed of 8, 9, 10 megs a second, then that's a problem right there. So but if you have fast internet, 50 plus download per second, then you're in good shape. But here's the site I use. It's gtmetrics.com. This is a site that you can you just basically paste in your URL. I've already done it so that we didn't have to wait for the report to generate. And this is one of our demo sites, demo 4, design 4. So I ran a test on this one. This is the biggest thing you're going to want to look at, is the fully loaded time. And keep in mind, that's fully loaded. That means the entire website is loaded, not just the above the fold, which is like the first thing that you see. That means the entire site has loaded. All the images, everything for the home page is up. Anything between 2 and 3 seconds is awesome. So you're in good shape there. That's how ours come out of the box. If you hover over this, it shows the average fully loaded time is 6.6 seconds. So we're well above average. The requests are just the HTTP requests, so how many times the site's pulling for images and other things from other plugins and stuff. 53 is great. My website's probably a lot higher than that. I have a lot of other stuff on the Vonk Digital website, but starting out, 53 is fine. We're on the page speed tab first, so I'll just quickly go over this and what some of this stuff means. Most of the time, at least on all of our websites, everything from here down is probably always going to be A's. Sometimes as you add more stuff to your website, these numbers might change, and I'll explain that and why it's okay. You have JavaScript, and this is a lot of the stuff you can't control. So when your website is using certain tools, like this slider is Revolution slider, there's JavaScript involved with that. There's CSS, which is for styling, which is involved with that. Unless you're willing to get rid of that whole slide and plugin, it's going to be there. There's not much you can do about it. Even when you're adding stuff like ad roll, Google Analytics, Facebook pixels, all that stuff will add script to your site, lowering these scores. It doesn't necessarily mean that your website's going to load slower, but it will, on the report, it's going to show up. And it is what it is. So if you want to have it on your site, you just have to, that's it, it's there. Minimize JavaScript. So here's another stuff. And you have to look at it. 1% reduction, is that really gonna, I don't see that's really gonna matter. So I ignore a lot of this. It's already showing a 90, so you're fine. Then we'll go to why slow. Make fewer HTTP requests. I think it's always gonna say that. I don't know what they're expecting. So that again, I don't worry about this. And it says this page has 18 external JavaScripts, so they're external, meaning they're not part of the site. And it's also saying, try combining them into one. Can you do that? Yeah, you can. What happens a lot of times when you do combine these style sheets and JavaScripts, it breaks the layout of your site. So if you have features like this, you might combine those scripts and then they won't look right. Visually, they will become broken. So it's not something that I ever do with my sites, is combine those. Use a content delivery. This is obviously affecting the score. For mortgage websites, your clients are in the United States. You don't need a content delivery network. That's for something that's for global reach for the most part. If you want your site to load quickly all over the world, you don't really care how fast your website loads for someone in China. It doesn't matter. Add expired headers. This is from Google Font. Nothing you can really do about that. And this is our mortgage calculator. So those are things that aren't part of our site. Technically, they're just on our site. Use cookie-free domains. Yeah, ignore this as well. 10 components there's just some images. That's just not doing anything. So we go to waterfall. This is actually showing the load times. It shows like how quickly the server is responding. And then if there's something that's really long, you can find, a lot of times it's plugins. The only time I really use this is if, there's an external plugin that I can see that's taking a really long time to load. Then I might say, all right, let's get rid of that plugin or tool. But for the most part, 2.1 seconds is awesome. That's how most of our sites come out of the box. Some of them vary depending on video or whatever. And then obviously as you add to them, it might affect that score a little bit. But I'll show you another thing that you have to keep in mind is this is a report. It's going to have just a lot of numbers and you know, they're going to spit out a lot of information that isn't really something that you have to worry about. You really need to worry about is how it's going to load, you know, to an actual user. So go to another browser, open up your site, make sure you clear the history so that you're not looking at a cached version, because a cached version of your website will open much faster. So this is now, we're going to see how quickly it loads for someone who is a first-time visitor to our website. So click enter. It's coming back and boom, there it is. So it's pretty fast. You know, that's absolutely fine. And that's how you can test it on, you know, this is just another browser. Another thing I would do is test from your cell phone, and also test when you're not connected to Wi-Fi. So go outside your office, make sure you have a half decent signal, and test it. You know, is it loading in a couple seconds, or is it taking, you know, 10 seconds? And then you have something that you have to think about what you want to do. And a lot of times what will slow them down is the more stuff you add to your home page, the slower it's going to get. So try to keep your design of your home page clean. Don't have a lot of moving parts. You don't need to have a lot of animation and stuff flying in from the sides. It's just keep it clean, simple, easy to read, and that's most important. Well, let me talk about the what we use for our caching plugin. So we use WP Rocket. This is a paid caching plugin. We pre-install it on all of our websites. We also configure it, so you don't have to do anything. It's ready to go from the moment you go live. So enable caching for mobile. That's already set up. File optimization. So here are the basic settings. Minify HTML, combine Google fonts. So we do a couple of things here. Then you'll notice that we leave these unchecked, and that's so that things do not break. If you had a very simple website with mainly text, you could get away with checking all these. You know, and some of the score is going to change a little bit. Not necessarily your speed. It's just going to make your score look better. So, you know, take this as it is what it is. It's a good guide, but it is not, you know, these do not have to be perfect. Almost, I mean, there's not many websites that are going to come up perfect. They're going to have to be very plain and simple. So we leave these off on purpose. It's really not going to do much. You can get a CDN if you want. You know, I don't think it's going to help too much, basically because your traffic's coming from the US. So it's not something that is really worth getting. We leave off the lazy load. Lazy load is basically when you start scrolling down, it says, okay, here's a picture, it'll start loading that picture. We leave that off as well. It's just, I think it's a better user experience when you don't have lazy load on, because it's already there. And if you don't have a million pictures on your website, like we don't, you know, we keep ours, you know, we don't have just picture after picture after picture. So for the website to load a couple images, it's not a problem. But I hope this helps and gives you some insight on how to look at these reports. If you have any questions, support@vonkdigital.com. Have a great day.